Hello and welcome to this introductory case study in this course, Business Idea Generation and Selection. So, in this particular lecture, we will give you this case study of generating business ideas and selecting the right one to develop a new business successfully, not for the heck of it, but to develop a new business successfully. And so, here is a case study that you can use directly by learning and applying for generating business ideas and selecting the right one to develop a new business successfully. Right. So the theme of this case study is basically see how an individual moved from an idea overload and confusion to systematic idea generation, evaluation, and successful launch of a new business. Three things: idea generation, evaluation, and that leading to successful launch of a new business. So let's take a look at this case. So what was the situation? So here we have our entrepreneur who's been trying to build business, name mask, face mask, called Ananya Rao. She's a 29-year-old working professional in a mid-level corporate job in operations, and she's willing to be located anywhere in the world, very adaptable. And her goal has been in life to start a small but scalable business on the side when she's doing a job and eventually become a full-time entrepreneur, right? Now, in this whole thing, her goal, she is facing certain problems. Now, Ananya constantly had ideas like open a cafe, start a YouTube channel, launch a productivity app, or create an online course. But after 3 years of thinking, the situation is that no business has started, no idea has been tested properly, and only half-filled notebooks and random domains names bought is what she has. And as a result, obviously, she feels stuck and frustrated, right? I don't have shortage of ideas, but I have a shortage of clarity. So that's her situation. Let's dig into this challenge of idea overload and zero execution a little more. So, the time goes, one day her company announced a restructuring, and as a result of that, layoffs were possible. Now, that's the time it hit her. If I lose this job, I have no independent income, and I cannot afford to keep treating business ideas now as daydreams. So she decided that this time I will not only think like an entrepreneur, but I will work like one. And her challenge there is, among the many things, to generate a good business idea, select a smart idea, and launch a small but real version of it within 90 days. So that's the challenge, right? Right. So what did she do? What was the turning point from what business to start, right? So instead of starting with, which idea sounds exciting, which is what she has been working on so far, she reframed the question to whose problem can I solve so well that they happily pay me? Remember the word, you solve so well that they happily pay me. And this mind shift is where her real journey began, right? Right. So what was the first step she took? So she used a simple 3C filter: customer, context, and constraint. You can also use that. And she asked few questions to herself. Regarding customer, the key question was, who do I understand well? And her answers were like young professionals, busy working mothers, college students, and junior managers, because she had seen them in the last 3 years of working. Then, in the context, the question that she asked is, what situations, problems do I see related to these people? And her answers were like time management on the work getting overwhelmed, fear of interviews and job changes, confusion about career paths, and difficulty learning practical skills. Then the third question, or third C, was on constraint, and the question that she asked was, what are my limitations? What do I need to work within? And her answers was that I have capital which is very limited, there's no physical store, and only can invest evenings and weekends in building this business. And but I'm strong in operations planning and communication, but not too tech heavy coding, right? So that was the 3C matrix. And from this, she generated, you know, 10 business ideas like a job interview bootcamp for freshers, a career clarity toolkit, a digital product, a busy professionals accountability program, a mini operations setup service for small online sellers. And for the first time, as you can see, her ideas were customer based, not random. So that is the first important step she took. Then she did, initial filtering using the ICE scoring method, right? Now, what did she do? She scored each idea, as you can see here, on impact in terms of how much value does it create for the customer on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being highest. On confidence, how confident am I to deliver this on 1 to 10 again? And ease, how easy or low cost is it going to start on 1 to 10 again? And she added up the scores. And you can see here the job interview boot camp came on the tops, but still she wasn't fully trusting the whole idea, right? So she decided to move to the real world validation, right? And what did she do in the real world validation? She, instead of building a full program first, she did something but most people skip. She interviewed 15 potential customers, right? And like fresh graduates, 03 experienced professionals, people who had recently failed interview, and she asked them a few questions like, what do you struggle with most in your interviews, right? And what have you tried so far? What work? What did not, etc. And then she heard their frustrations, like I don't know how to structure the answer. I panic with unexpected questions. I don't know how to explain my experience clearly. And a one line stayed with her from these hearings, from these listenings, that I wish someone could practice with me like a coach, not just send a PDF. And that was her insight. And from there, the idea evolved. The insight was that people didn't want information on the interview. They wanted guided practice and feedback. And from there, her idea evolved, and it evolved to, you know, uh, the job interview boot camp became a guided interview practice and feedback program. And this is how and where a senior serious business thinker is born. And she changed the idea based on the evidence, not ego. And that's what you should also be ready to do. So in ideation itself, you need to be flexible, validate and change to get what I call a winning business idea. Then what did she do? She built a small version, the pilot program. Now she had an idea, she had some confidence, but she needed to validate it. So instead of waiting to design a perfect 8-week course, she launched a 3-week pilot. And what did she have in this? She had all the elements of the marketing, as you can see here. She had an offer where she offered 3-week interview practice sprint with 2 mock interviews per week, personalized feedback, WhatsApp support for answers and doubts. And she priced it moderately but not free of cost, to test willingness to pay. And that's a smart thing to do. And she invited her network on LinkedIn, WhatsApp, and Telegram to try and decided to take only 10 participants to start because she told herself that the pilot is not about making money, it's about learning. And that's the right approach. Then she measured reality, not what she thought would turn out to be. So at the end of the pilot, she tracked and looked at the outcomes. She asked questions like how many signed up? How many completed all sessions? What did they say in feedback? Did anyone get an actual job offer? And the outcomes were, from this tracking, 10 slots, 8 got filled, 7 completed all sessions, 3 got job offers within a month. And the feedback she got was like the mock interviews were more useful than any YouTube video. Another feedback was, I never realized how unclear my answers were until we practiced. And now Ananya had what is called proof of the value. What value is her program delivering? And in that, she had testimonials, experience, and clarity on how to improve because still was a journey to perfect her product. And this gave her something more valuable than idea, which is the next stage of a working prototype for a real business. Then she worked on the inside, and there the whole thing is to understand the right idea is not what works, but what also fits with you. And she asked few questions once she had the idea and the prototype. She asked, do I enjoy this work? Right? Does it use my strengths? Can I grow beyond the me one to one? And she found that she enjoyed coaching and helping people to structure things and using her operational skills. And she was good at giving practical structured advice. And she could later turn this whole start into a group programs, recorded modules, and digital product or a membership. Now, her idea now wasn't just viable, but it was sustainable for her as a person. So that's what you need to do because you're building business for a life, right? Not for one product. So she committed to it. So after all that evaluation, she committed to it as a primary business direction for next 12 months. So what was Ananya's framework that you can also use? And it was ideas to business model. So it was to start with identifying the problems by asking questions like whose problems can I understand deeply? Not what problems, whose problems. And then you list customer groups and their pain points along with. Then you develop options. What different solutions could I offer them? And you use the 3C framework to brainstorm 10 to 20 ideas. Then you evaluate with criteria which ideas have the highest impact in terms of confidence and ease and impact. And there you could use she used ICA scoring to shortlist top one to top three ideas. Then you do piloting. You see what is the smallest version I can launch in 2 to 4 weeks and build a pilot and offer it to a small audience. And finally, you study and scale what work, what needs to change. Then you refine offer pricing delivery and then start growing. So what was the outcome after 9 to 12 months? That's the time it takes to for you to see the fruition of your effect. The nature has the 9 months as a delivery period for human beings as well as for idea. So Ananya ran, 8 batches of her interview practice sprint, 8 batches, not one, two, three, and created an online mini course during this 9 to 12-month period to answer the question, which focused on answering any interview question in 3 steps. Then she started getting referrals from past participants. She built a LinkedIn following, starting sharing interview tips, and earned a consistent side income that sometimes exceeded her monthly salary. And eventually shifted to a full-time career coaching, and interview prep business. And her biggest learning was that real business idea is discovered, not imagined, not on a piece of paper. You find it by talking to people and testing small and iterating fast. So, what are the key lessons for us for generating and selecting business ideas at an individual level? Start with people, not product. Who do you understand well? What is the painful or confusing for them? Then you generate many ideas, but don't fall in love with them, which is very likely. Simply use scoring sheets like impact confidence metrics to shortlist. Then you market it. Then market is your exam paper. Then you need to check it out. See whether how well you do. Customer conversation pilots give real answers, not your head. And the best idea is something that has value to others and fits with your strengths. A hot idea is that doesn't suit you will burn you out. And finally, the business clarity comes from action, not thinking. So you need to have small experiments that beat long-term overthinking. So these are some key lessons that we can take. So what's the final takeaway? So, excellence in entrepreneurship doesn't start with a perfect idea. It starts with a disciplined way of generating, testing, and choosing an idea. And that's what we will show you in this course as you go forward. You will need to have some patience. At an individual level, to successfully develop new ideas, you must learn to see the problems clearly and identify opportunity. Generate multiple solutions. Use simple frameworks to choose. Run small, fast pilots and refine based on evidence, not emotion. So what do we do next? So we get on understanding, first starting with what most of us do to generate business idea and select. What's the current process and what are the shortcomings with that? And then we will take you through that process that you can use to effectively generate good business ideas and select them and start building a business. So thank you so much for watching this introductory case study. I hope you're beginning to learn new things, beginning to enjoy, and I do look forward to see you again in this next lecture. Please feel free to message me if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer your questions, and do download the PDF file to take a look at anything that you need.